and then I wanted to run out of the scene. And so as I get up, I'm by myself in my apartment. It's just my phone on like a tripod, and I'm just like, I have all my stuff up, and I'm like doing my first take, and I look over and I'm like, hoo, whatever. And then when I get up to run, I run into the kitchen, and then I slip on the carpet or the rug that's in my kitchen and fall back directly on my back, just flat on it, and I break my coupe glass, and there's water everywhere. And then I'm just laying there, and my back hurts so much, and it's been hurting for the last few days just because of this. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I just get up, and you just hear me in the recording, oh, oh. And I'm just like cleaning up glass. I'm like, oh, shit, I have to turn this off. So I have to go back and like push it off. So Catherine comes home and she's like, what happened? I was like, I hurt myself.
Getting
like,
too
what? I
old
was like,
for this acting stuff.
Let me just show you. And so I just show her the video, and it's like so awful.
So did you send that one in, or?
Oh, no, I cut that one out. But I spent a lot of time trying to decide whether I was actually going to send an unedited version to my agent to be like, hey, so acting is dangerous, I guess.
You hurt your back, man. Getting too old for acting.
It was very bad. I was like, oh, damn, I like could not walk. I could walk pretty well, but like sleeping on it hurt. And I was like, God, I'm not even 30. This is the worst. Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the Arena Regulars podcast. I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we are your neighborhood Magic the Gathering arena sports bar.
Yeah, basically we're just regular guys. We drink beer, talk about Magic, Arena in particular, and competitive play, so the MPL and Rivals Leagues.
It's basically what we do. And competitive play, we just had a big event this last weekend, the Kaldheim League Weekend #1, which we had drafted players like we like to do for those events. So we get to have the results for that today. And then we also have spoilers for more Kaldheim spoilers that we've been seeing a lot of. And we have a new segment that's called Worth a Slot. It's worth a slot.
Yeah. Like a slot in your deck, you know?
In your deck.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah. I think it's funny. But before we get to all of that, each week we both bring a beer, we drink our own, then drink each other's, then rate them on a scale of bronze to mythic, and choose the best for last. So with that, Jeff, what's on tap?
Right, so it's more Kaldheim stuff, so I'm continuing what I started last week with the Kaldheim-themed beers here. I brought something called Nordic Lager. So it's a lager, and it's made by Henderson, which is here in Toronto, but they did a collaboration with Jacobsen, which is in Norway. So maybe it's Jacobsen, I'm not sure, but it's a brewery out in Norway. And I was curious what makes it a Nordic lager. So I guess the only way to really tell you is to read it from the can. So our Nordic lager is infused with Scandinavian Angelica root, renowned for its restorative properties and once said to be the currency of Vikings. So, Viking-themed set, I brought a Vikings-themed beer. It's 5.2%, and the can has like this, I guess, Nordic guy, he has a beard, in front of like the Toronto skyline.
Interesting. So, something in common, my beer also has a bearded guy by the Toronto skyline, except for he is naked in a lawn chair with snow on the ground. I brought Hanlon's Point, which is from Great Lakes Brewery, and it's their coconut coffee porter, which is 6.5%. And it's nice and tasty, very desserty. I like it.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to know what living in Toronto is like, you just have to get one of these cans. It's naked guys sitting in the snow with coconuts.
Yeah, you'll know all about it. And I guess there's a lot of beers that have like a picture of a bearded guy and a skyline.
Yeah, exactly.
So we brought 2 of those this week.
Yeah.
As far as Magic news goes, there's not really anything going on. We had the league weekend this last weekend. We're going to talk about that already and all the Kaldheim spoilers and things. So yeah. With that, Jeff, how was your arena week?
I would say uneventful. I played a little bit, but not a lot. Honestly, this is the time when I play the least, like right during spoiler season, basically, because the new set hasn't dropped yet. And I'm all excited for those cards because I'm reading the spoilers and stuff.
Exactly.
Log in to try to get quests done and play a few games and stuff. So Nothing exciting. How about you?
Basically the same thing. Just trying not to play cube or anything and waste gold on stuff I don't really want.
Right.
And just kind of grinding quests and then leaving and looking at spoilers or watching the league weekend. So that's kind of how it went, which is totally great. I am fine with that because we have the third league weekend in the bag. It's the first for Kaldheim. We have another one in February, but maybe we should, if you're not used to us or you're new, basically we like to do a fantasy draft for the Magic Pro League every time there's an event.
Yeah. So this was a league weekend, which you can think of basically as like the regular season games of the league. So there's for the Magic Pro League and the Rivals, they each played 12 games, right? And they're kind of just playing against other players in the league, and they get 1 point for a win, and it's just goes towards their regular season standings. So it's not some big tournament with an eventual winner. It's just regular season play.
Exactly. Yeah, so they're just trying to get points to be up on the leaderboard and get into all the different kinds of things that go on with having your position. There's a lot of gauntlets and different things like that, and depending on where you are, you get to stay in the MPL or you get pushed to the Rivals League, which is like the it's not junior league, but it's like the just the tier right below the MPL, which is the Magic Pro League. Or if you're in the Rivals League, you might get bumped down to a challenger, which is just like a regular person grinding
One
away.
of us.
One of us. One of us. Yeah. So basically how our fantasy team or our sports thing works is that we draft 3 MPO players, 4 Rivals players. We also pick the highest meta percentage for deck and the top performing deck for the weekend. And then we get points depending on that.
Yeah,
so,
1 point for each win your player gets, basically. And then we changed it recently, but a couple of points for getting the correct meta percentage or the top performer.
Top performing deck. Yep. Exactly. So maybe we should just start by kind of talking about the weekend and like what.
Well, first we got to tell them the stakes.
Oh,
what
of course. Sorry. Jeff, would you like to explain what the stakes for our bet is?
Okay, so as we mentioned, there's several events, like League Weekend is one of them. So this was the third event that has happened so far that we've drafted for. We missed the first one. And at the end, whoever won the most of these events will get to receive a weird 2-4 from the loser. So that's a case of beer full of beers handpicked by whoever was defeated.
Yes. So the loser gets to put together a 24 pack of beer that are all different and give it to the winner.
Yeah.
And hopefully drink them together if the pandemic ever calms down.
Right.
Because right now we have to do all of our episodes over Zoom, which is fine. It's actually, I mean, it's okay.
Still fun.
It'd be better if we were together, but yeah, just give a big old hug.
Better when we're together.
Yeah, basically. Sweet. So let's talk about the weekend.
Yeah.
What were they playing? They were playing Historic. Mm-hmm. It was great.
It was historic.
It was very historic. I'm just gonna read let's just talk about what the standings are like right now because they got some shakeups happened this weekend.
Yep.
So for the MPL, just the top few players, PVDDR is still in first place. Gabriel Nassif is right behind him. And then Brad Nelson and Seth Manfield jumped way up and are tied for third right now.
It jumped like 5 spots.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Martin Hughes is right behind him, who jumped 3. And then Andre Strosky, Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, and Andrea Mangucci have all gone down since then. Mangucci going the farthest, which is 5 slots down. So that's kind of like our top 7. I guess 8 would be Marcio Carval, and Reed Duke is basically our ties for 8th place.
And they're tied with Mangucci. Yeah.
And they're tied with Mangucci, yeah, correct. And then Autumn Burchett's behind that, and then Ray Sato went down 7 points.
That's rough.
Which, spoiler alert, he was on my team for this week, so that was kind of a bummer to see. But that's most of the kind of the front runners, it's really Paolo did not lose any ground and is just still the clear leader at the moment. It's fairly close at the top. I think points are 28-27 between him and Gabriel Nassif. So it's
Yeah, I'm just learning
it'll be interesting to the end.
that Paolo and Nassif just never lose. They just do well.
They're
every
so
event.
good. Everything. Yeah. And if PV top aided the championship, the Zendikar Rising Championship, then he would have been like much farther ahead. But he lost on breakers, so
Right. I think he had the same record as Nassif, so
yeah,
Nassif cracked the top 8 and PV didn't.
So it kind of is how that's what it's like sometimes with tournaments. But yeah, I think this round robin style is pretty interesting, especially seeing now that we're going to start coming back around for the MPL playing players they've already played before.
Right. The great thing about from a viewer's perspective is like when you watch a big tournament, you either watch the same players over and over again because you want to watch matches that are interesting in terms of finishing in the top 8 and stuff. So the people who are winning, you just see them constantly. Which, or the other alternative is that you watch games that don't really matter because both players are pretty close to can't make the top 8 status.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, all the matches matter, so you always get to see a variety of different players playing matches that matter.
Yeah, and it stays interesting the whole time because you do really care about everybody, especially when you do fantasy and you pick players that are kind of at the bottom. You hope, come on, fight your way up. I really need you to. It's your week. Come on, Allie Warfield, let's go. Moving on to rivals, talking about Allie. Jeff, do you want to talk about kind of the front runners in that league?
Yeah, so this is the biggest shakeup, I think, because now the top 2 players are completely different. So in first place, we have Stanislav Sivka, who moved up 7 places. He was in 8th before this event. Just dominated this league weekend, shot up into first place. Eli Cassis is in 2nd. Wow, both these names sound so familiar. Eli Cassis moved up 6 places from where he was before. Then we have Matt Sperling, who's technically moved down 1 because he was the previous champion, now tied for 2nd. Zachary Keeney also tied for 2nd in there. Then we have Bernardo Santos, Luis Scott Vargas, and Christian Hauk tied for 5th. And so LSV, Luis Scott Vargas, dropped 4 places because he was, I believe, tied for 1st with Matt Sperling.
He was tied for 1st with Matt, yeah.
So that's just a huge shakeup. And then after that is Corey Burkhart, who moved up 13 spots this weekend.
What? What the heck?
Yeah, so this is just a crazy jumble. If you look down the line a bit, Alexander Hain is tied for 19th, and he says he moved up 19 spots. So
19
he
spots.
literally went from last to middle of the league.
And if we look down here, Jacob Wilson went down 16 places. He only won 1 match this weekend. One. That's like of any player. That is I think that's the worst of any player who played this weekend.
Yeah, it just goes to show you can't slip at all. Basically, like one bad weekend and boom,
down you go.
Like especially in rivals with 48 competitors.
46.
Or 46, right?
I get to get you this time. You got me.
Yeah. I just wanted to see if you were on top of your game, if you'd learned your lesson from last week. So.
For sure. And luckily we have a lot of this information because of Ball Lightning Ph.D. on Twitter. So thank you for putting this whole spreadsheet together because Magic.gg doesn't have everything up yet.
It's actually hard to get.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to get. So thank you for throwing that together. Throwing it together. You spend all weekend putting it together.
Yeah, so. I'm sure he didn't just
we do
throw
appreciate
it, or they just didn't throw it together. But
no, definitely not. But it's really good stuff. If anyone's interested, it's just an open document anyone can get off of his Twitter. So that's Ball Lightning PhD. Look him up. It's great stuff. Also, if you want to follow along right now.
Yeah.
We could have said that before, but we didn't. So, whatever. Anyway, it's pretty interesting just how everything has moved around. Jeff, would you like to... You know what? No, I'm going to talk about my team first. Fuck you.
Sure.
So I had picked... Last week we drafted, and I lost the coin toss, but Jeff he deferred, so I got to pick first. So I got the pleasure of having PVDDR, who got me 10 points this week. He's staying in first place. That's pretty great. Thank you, PVDDR. That's awesome. After that, Ray Sato was a little bit not so great. Gave me 4 points. I don't love it. Andre Strosky gave me 7 points, which is fairly solid. But over this week, there were a few bombs. There are a lot of like 10-point players and 9-point players.
Right.
And so if you weren't one of those, it really, really kind of, it would just, 7 points isn't as exciting now. So
Yeah, but totally solid performance, right?
yeah, I mean that's a solid performance. It's just hard when it was easier when a lot more people were getting 7 points, and it's like okay, 7 that's like average, but there was just so many like 10 and 9-point players this week that
Right.
that was kind of
The variance was
just
a little higher this week in that.
yeah. So
Lots of players did really well and lots of players did really poorly.
exactly. So that's a little bit rough. Which moving on to my rivals picks, I had Matt Sperling with 5 points, Matt Nass with 6. Actually, he ended up going up throughout the weekend. He was doing pretty bad at the beginning and then came back, which was kind of nice. Ali Warfield that we fought over was 4 points. So kind of wish I just let you take her because instead, well.
Just shows how hard it is in this league, right?
It's so hard. It's also just hard because we're making up a fantasy game. So
Yeah.
what are you going to do? Then the last player I had was Christian Hawk with 7 points, which was pretty decent as well. But yeah, anyway, Jeff, who were the players on your team?
Yeah, so my MPL members consisted of Gabriel Nassif. Never a bad choice. He got 9 points. Then Jean-Emmanuel Deprat. He was actually doing really well. And then he must have had a slightly rougher day too, because he ended with 6 points, which again is totally fine. Nothing wrong
he
with
just
6
got,
points, but
I don't know what happened. He just like got sick or something.
After the first day, it just seemed like he was already at
doing-
4 or 5 wins, so it was.
Yeah.
I was
Then day
expecting
two was just like
an 8 or 9er.
yeah.
But 6 points for him, and then Reed Duke coming in 7 points, and a totally respectable performance, as we've mentioned several times here. My rivals players, the reason I deferred the pick was to get LSV out of the rivals league. And LSV only got 4 points, as we hinted that he dropped a lot earlier. It's because he only got
It was
4
pretty
points.
funny.
So that's
we were
really
actually
shocking.
we were talking earlier because LSV he was tweeting his record throughout the thing, which a lot of people like to do. And then at a certain point, he's like, you know what, I'm not gonna tweet out my record anymore. I'm not doing well. I'm not feeling it. So
It's not good.
I got to text Jeff and be like,
Yeah.
suck it. Of course,
Yeah.
Anyway, continue to the rest of your team. Which
Okay, then I had Shintaro Ishimura. So, again, he also had a pretty good day one, which surprised me because he brought, what was it? Like Kethis
combo.
Control? Kethis Combo, yeah, sorry. I kept thinking
Yeah.
Control. But Kethis Combo, which is just not ever really been a good deck in history.
not really that good.
People keep trying it and it never works. So when I saw that he brought that, I was preparing for like a 2-point performance
Just a
here.
goose
So
egg.
actually,
No, just nothing.
5 points I'm totally fine with, actually.
That was really upsetting to me because I was ready for him to just be terrible. And he, like,
And I
did
think
better
after
than,
day
like, a
one, he
few of my
had 4
players.
points already or something. I was like, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe he figured it out. Maybe it's get this combo. But 5 points for him. But then we got Eli Cassis, who rocked it with 9 points, shot up to second place in the league standings, as we mentioned earlier. And my last pick was Stanislav Sivka. 10 points and rocketed into first place. Thanks, Stan.
it's so awful because if I didn't take Ali Warfield, you wouldn't have taken him, and then I could have had a different player.
Well,
No, not that I don't. Ali's great.
Yeah.
I was really psyched you were on my team, and all this, but
But that's what I mean
I
about
would-
it. It's just a tough league, right? Because she was practicing a lot. It looked like, she's really good with those sacrifice decks, and this is the format
Exactly.
for it. So there was no reason to expect her not to do well. Just one of those weekends,
and sometimes things just don't go your way, and sometimes people get a break and it's not you, all that kind of stuff. So, bummer, Ali. I wish you did better for both of our 6.
Yeah.
Going on to meta percentage, both of us picked Sultai. Well, actually, no, sorry. I picked Sultai mid-range, and
So
Jeff picked
you shouldn't
Sultai.
get any points because nobody brought Sultai mid-range. They brought
Actually,
Sultai ramp.
No, because they categorize it as
I don't care
Sultai
what
mid-range.
it's categorized as. That's not a mid-range.
I'm just talking. I'm talking the way that they talk on, our channel of Magic people.
Bastardizes the
So-
good name of mid-range.
Yeah, so yours is only like half. You're only half the deck. You should get less points for that. I think you should.
All right, I'll give you a point. It's fine.
Maybe. Okay, perfect. All right. Then going on to top.
So, by the way,
performing
that was
decks.
correct. Sultai was the most popular deck. So we both.
Oh yeah, sorry.
We both
Yeah,
get
so
2 points.
basically we get 2 points because we guessed the top performing, the highest meta percentage. But we don't get an extra 2. You only get an extra 2 points if you beat the other player. So since we picked the same thing, it was either we get points or we don't.
Right.
So this next one, ooh, I'm feeling. I like this. So top performance, Jeff. What did you pick?
Okay, so I want to preface this with the fact that I acknowledged that it's possible nobody brings this deck. I said that. I said I'm going to take. So I chose Rakdos Arcanist, and I said I'm acknowledging the possibility that 0 players will select this deck for the event, which is what happened.
Yes.
I said I think I should be taking Sultai, which turns out also would have been wrong. So now I don't feel bad about.
So no matter what, you wouldn't have gotten the 4 big ones that I got for Jun Sack. Whew, whew. Feels good.
It was a good choice.
I like that.
Jun Sack actually kind of dominated 64.5% overall win rate.
Which right behind was 55.8, which was Gruul Aggro, which wasn't even on my radar really for Historic. So
yeah, it was like the best deck in Historic, like 9 months ago before they banned Burning Tree Emissary or suspended it, and then they unsuspended it.
But now it's
back.
back. It's a great card. I really like it. Also, the Gruul lists were all over the map. It was crazy.
Yeah, nobody
Like, it
seemed to
wasn't
agree.
just-
PV, who did the best, didn't really play Collected Company. So
Yeah, and then there's Martin Yuza swears by on crop Crasher, which is that like what is it 3/2 haste, and then you can exert it to make sure a creature can't block this turn.
yeah, anyone who played Amonkhet Limited remembers this fucking card, but it's
it's
a
good.
disaster. It's really
But I didn't
good
even-
against Sultai. Is the reason he likes it, because a lot of times
one-
their whole plan is to play a big Uro that gives them 3 life and gives them
Or
a
a
blocker,
Krasis or something.
and they get to
Yeah.
untap with it. And this just says, well, that's nice, but that can't block everything in. You're dead.
Yeah, and you can get it off a collected company, all that kind of stuff. Really interesting. If you're interested in looking at Gruul aggro lists, go look at everyone's because they're all different. Like people were debating whether you should play Kazandu Mammoth at all. Some said 2, some said 4, some said it's very all over the place. Just like it was really cool to see that, especially with that's like an archetype that I'm interested in and I think it's cool. So it was fun to see so many different builds and so many people working on their decks.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was preparing for the Historic event that I played in last month, I was considering playing Gruul aggro with no Collected Company. And I was like, is this crazy? Why is nobody doing this? I feel like if you max out on Embercleaves and play like Questing Beasts, then you don't have to play Collected Company.
Or
I
you
eventually
can't,
decided it was just I didn't have enough time to try it out, and so I'll just play
Gotcha.
Sultai. But I feel a bit vindicated by the fact that PV took a Gruul aggro deck that is not built around Collected Company. It only has
Totally.
one.
Yeah.
And if you want, he has a tweet actually where he explains why.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like
I
a
didn't
5 or
actually see that
6 parter. He said, people keep asking me why I didn't play Collected Company. Here's why. Basically, he feels like there's too many hits that you don't actually want, like Llanowar Elves. So even though your creature count is high for it, the actual number of creatures that are good
Hit count
hits
is lower.
are not that high. And he did acknowledge that if you're playing 4 on-crop crashers, the card gets a lot better.
Yeah. Sure does. I would like to say before we talk about totals and all this kinds of stuff, we should probably add a rule just right now that if you pick a deck that doesn't show up at all, you just immediately lose 4 points. I think that's
Okay, so it wouldn't have mattered here because you got 4 points anyways. Oh, you want -4 for me?
I want an 8-point swing. Yeah. That's
Okay,
what I want.
so is that because there's a 3-point difference in our final totals?
No, not at all. No, I think that's just appropriate. That's how the game should be played.
All right, maybe we'll
we
think
should
about
institute that right now.
implementing that next time. Retroactively implementing it to the first
Now
time.
that we have both picked a Rakdos deck that didn't show up at all,
no one's going
I
to pick
think-
a Rakdos deck ever again.
we will stop picking Rakdos decks.
But I think
Jeff,
with
would you
Kaldheim,
like
Rakdos is going to be actually one of the best decks in Standard. But
We'll see about that.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Actually, it does look pretty good, especially with the land. But Jeff, would you like to do the honors and say the point totals?
Sure. So Zach's team, if you were following along at home, you know that Zach's point total is 49 points.
Yes.
And my point total was a absolutely stellar, a beautiful, magnificent 52 points. So that's why Zach's asking for me to deduct 4 points from my total, because that would make him win by 1.
And that was even with Magic Esports was posting the rounds each after each round they would post the scores, which was actually pretty cool. Though it was kind of frustrating because they weren't always correct, and the last one apparently wasn't 100% correct. And it said that Ray Sato had gotten 3 points when he actually got 4. He said this himself. I think I have 20 points overall.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them say anything back, but we stuck with what Ray said, which gave me that extra.
And what Ball Lightning agreed with.
Yeah, Ball Lightning agreed and all that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, I was actually thinking that my players were going to be better than yours, and you were just going to beat me. You're always going to beat me in the deck stuff. But this is the first time I did pretty good on the deck stuff.
You crushed it. You got both.
All right.
Like, if I had picked something other than Sultai midrange, you would have got the full 8 points. Like, you got both the top meta deck and the top performing deck.
Exactly. Except for that's
kind of like I did last time and also lost. So maybe we should not be trying to hit
so
these
heavy
categories. Yeah.
We added points to it this time. Last time it wasn't worth as many points, but
it felt a lot closer because when I saw that my players did better than yours, but I was like, oh man, he got 4 extra points from the Gen
Yeah, when you're counting up, you're like, I don't know.
Until I tallied it, I wasn't sure. Yeah. Well, until I saw that Sifka got 10, then I was like, oh wait.
Yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, once we both had a 10-pointer, and you had a couple 9s. It was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Can I trade a 9 for a 4? That'd be great.
Yeah.
But we do like to try to figure out what the best possible team would be if you're playing with us. So Jeff, would you explain the best team? I guess you win, so you get to say what the best team would be.
Sure, yeah. So it is worth mentioning that, this team isn't drafted against anybody, so it's not...
Yeah.
It has no restrictions. So if you were to have the best possible team, it would be... These would be your 3 MPL players, would be Paulo Vitor Damarosa, who got 10 points, Seth Manfield also got 10 points, and Brad Nelson got 10 points. So those
this was my problem, is that I've drafted Brad Nelson the last 2 times. Mm-hmm. The first time I yelled at him, and then I found out his dog was sick, so I felt bad. Yeah. So I drafted him again to make up for it, and he did really well. And so I should have drafted him one last time, and then that would have been it.
It is interesting, because I'm trying to choose a diverse set of players every time, not just pick the same players every week. Yeah. And I've picked Seth before, and you've picked Brad twice, and I picked PV last time, so it's like...
It's hard. But it actually went in your favor for picking Eli Cassis, now that all these players are kind of popping up, especially Rivals, are really interesting. So do you want to read the best Rivals players for this tournament?
Yeah, so if you were to pick 4 Rivals members, the best 4 you could have picked were Stanislav Sifka, was the best one with 10 points. And then there were 3 players that got 9 points. That's Zachary Keeney, Eli Cassis, and Corey Burkhart.
Yeah. Man.
I picked 2 of those.
I didn't pick any of those. So, man.
Yeah, so that's where I really won, is in the Rivals picks.
Yep.
But it is interesting, that there were a lot of players that went unpicked here that, were the most dominant players of the week.
That just felt, we hadn't really had, this is our first league weekend that was all historic. So, there might have been some sleepers I didn't realize. I was thinking Allie was going to be a sleeper. Yeah. So I'm going to stop talking about Allie.
Yeah. And of course, your meta picks would have been Sultai and Jun Sak. And so if you add all those points together and assume that you get 4 points for the meta pick and 4 points for the top performing pick, your total would have been 75 points.
So that is actually pretty far. I mean, like those
We
those
did
picks
pretty
were hard.
bad.
We did pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're really close, but at least we're like the same tier.
Yeah, right.
We're both like gold players.
Yeah, exactly.
So that feels, it makes me feel better once we get the whole, perfect score thing.
Like for whatever reason, last time when I did the perfect score, I didn't feel as bad about like our teams. Yours was actually surprisingly close.
Really close, yeah.
But this time I'm just like, wow, we left a lot of points on the table here. That's
I feel like there were a lot of just breakout players this time, man.
Yeah.
No, that's not even
like
true.
Seth Manfield
we
and Brad Nelson.
We just left them on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, because you want to, I just realize I know that they're good, but those are also players where I shouldn't leave them on the table. Like PV and Gabe, you can't leave them there because they're so good. I think maybe Seth and Brad are also
just
kinda
added
coming up
themselves to that
well.
list. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the thing. As
They
the
also,
season goes on, people who are repeat performers start to emerge, and people who are maybe just 1 or 2 time performers, they start to drop, and so we'll start to be picking more
Of the same
people.
people. So we'll see. I mean, like Kaldheim will shake things up. The next one is standard. I think it's in like the 20s of February. So
It's going to be basically a brand new format, right?
yeah. So it's not even just like standard. It's just like whatever standard is going to be then, which is pretty exciting. Probably Rakdos.
3 weeks into the new standard kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. And a lot of people playing a lot of Eldraine cards still. So. Oh man. Anyway, we have quite a few. This is about half. It's not even halfway. We're getting closer to there, but we have another league weekend and then the Kaldheim championship, and then we have 3 league weekends in Strixhaven and that championship as well. So, it's not over yet, but
those
Jeff,
are kind of like the playoffs. So we're starting to, more than halfway
Yeah.
through the kind of quote unquote regular season part.
Exactly. So, and Jeff's only up by 1. The score is 2-1 now.
Yeah, so I won the first one we did. So a league weekend, you won the championship, and then I won this league.
Exactly.
Weekend,
So I'm thinking I'm probably going to win the next league weekend and then also
well, I think
the
I've
championship.
shown that I win the league weekends and you win the championships. So let's just keep up
No.
with that system.
Well, then
and-
I think we should redo how the points work because I think championships are actually harder and worth more
Okay.
because there's extra players that you can't, account for. So
yeah.
before we get new beers and everything, I did want to bring up that there was one player that brought Mono Red Burn to this league weekend.
Way to go, Ben.
Ben Stark. Good job, buddy.
Yeah.
That's
I actually had something I wanted to sign off on before we got the beers too.
oh sure, okay.
Okay, I just want to say that I don't want to boast too much about my victory, but I think it was pretty easy to foretell.
Oh god.
Perfect
Oh,
segue.
Perfect segue. All right, with that, I'm gonna just stop recording and I'm just gonna get another beer because I need one. All right, Jeff, what you drinking?
Hanlon's Point.
Hey.
Naked guys in Toronto winter with coconuts.
Yeah, I would like to say that it looks like they're on the island, so he's
Right, the
probably
Toronto
a disc
island.
golfer. Yeah,
Yeah, those are the only people who go to the island, disc golfers.
it's the disc golfers and people that live on the island.
Yeah.
I got Jacobson and Henderson's Nordic Lager. So here we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. All right. I want it to sit with me a little bit.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I'll
we're
let
not
you
going
know
to
what I
talk about it
think
till
at the
later. Yeah. Just at the end. But let's go into our next segment. Woohoo! I'm so excited by this name now.
Yeah.
We just came up with it today, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah, what's the name again?
It is Worth a Slot, and this is Kaldheim Spoilers Edition.
Yeah.
Ooh, so now we can have all these different editions. I'm excited. It's gonna be great. So basically, what we're gonna do is we've both picked 3 cards that we think will slot in a deck, and basically we're just gonna have a conversation or discussion of. Vocal joust. I don't know what the word is. We're gonna fight, and we're gonna see. Basically, try to explain why yours should be in a deck, and the other person's trying to explain why it shouldn't be in a deck, and then we decide whether it's worth a slot or not.
I'm
Great.
excited.
So, did we?
It
Do we
was
say I have to
honestly,
go first?
Yeah, because you listed your
Yeah.
card first. Honestly, though,
Okay.
choosing the cards for this was so hard. There were so many different cards I wanted to pick, so
Yeah.
that just shows that Kaldheim's cool.
It's hard because we'll get into it.
Yeah.
This first one though, I don't see how you could say no to this one. That's why I picked it. So obviously, number one, this is Doomscar. It's a white sorcery, 3 white, destroy all creatures. All right, and then it also has foretell, 1 white. So basically, we're looking at wraths. Okay.
Yeah.
Wraths are always good. There's always going to be a slot for them in control decks or just decks in general. You will want to be able to wrath, especially in white. Like white is really good at doing that. Boom. So this is a wrath. It's Wrath of God that costs 1 more if you just play it straight from your hand. Or it's always going to cost 1 more. But the problem with Wrath of God a lot of the times when you're playing Historic is that if you're on the play by turn 4, you could already be dead. Especially if the 4th land that you have is a tapped land or some mana problems ensue, or you don't have your second white or anything like that. The second white isn't what this one helps with, but it does make it that you could play a Wrath on turn 3, which I think is a really big deal. And the reason that you would try to weigh, do I play Wrath of God or do I play Doomscar? Because if you go turn 2 Foretell, turn 3 Doomscar, that will save you against goblins.
So you're playing this in Historic?
I think
over
you can
Wrath
play
of
this in
God.
Historic. I think that it's worth looking at for Historic. But let me turn my focus back to Standard. Now that I know that Historic is going to be a lot harder. What's the best white Wrath we have in Standard? It's Shatter this guy, right?
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it. The one that lets your opponent
Yeah.
draw cards.
Yeah, this one doesn't let your opponent draw cards. And if you do this on turn 5, you can hold up a counter spell. You can hold up any 2-drop counter spell. So they can't, build their board back. I think that's pretty great. That's really good. A big reason, because then otherwise you would shatter this guy, let them draw a card, and then you'd have to be on turn 6 to make sure you hold up a counter against it. I don't know. Also, you can hold up a counter spell just in case they don't want you to do it if you're playing against rogues. I think it seems pretty great. I don't see why you wouldn't slot this card. And maybe even in Historic, you could look at why you would want to play it over Wrath of God.
All right, nice pitch. I do like to, commend you on starting off with a layup here. I mean, I thought we were supposed to pick cards that weren't obviously good.
I thought that, we should just start the segment with...
I am actually...
You want to make sure the first one is actually going to be slotted because that makes,
Sets the
the
tone.
other ones have to live up to it, right? Okay.
Yeah, I actually am glad you brought this card up, though, because I do think it's a bit overrated by the community in general. Like, I'm just seeing it pop up everywhere as 3-mana Wrath of God, right? And obviously that would be an amazing card, but that's not what this is. So I just want to point out the huge thing. If you were casting this on turn 3, it does mean you took turn 2 off. So you have to imagine a world where you want a turn 3 Wrath. That means you're getting beat down, like really hard. You don't want to turn 3 Wrath when your opponent just played like a 3-drop. That's not the most exciting thing in the world. And so in this world where they go good 1-drop, good 2-drop, good 3-drop, and you're on the draw, and then you turn 3 Wrath, obviously that's really strong. But I want to try to imagine what situations is that happening in Standard. Like if you're against Gruul Adventures, when you want to turn 3 Wrath the most, they would go something like Innkeeper into like Heart's Desire for another 1/1 into Lovestruck Beast.
Yeah.
That's the
Because
most...
then you don't...
That's like a creature
just gonna
every
say-
turn. That's the most kind of aggressive start I can really... Maybe the turn 2 play is actually Brushfire Elemental. Right?
Yeah,
So
so
maybe Heart's Desire, Brushfire Elemental, Lovestruck Beast.
even that, if you're just trying to keep them off a Great Henge or something, making sure that they can't untap on turn 4 with a Questing Beast, and you get rid of the other cards.
Well, Questing Beast still gets you. You mean that they don't untap with Lovestruck Beast?
Yeah, what did I say? Questing Beast?
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant Lovestruck Beast.
Questing
yeah,
Beast.
they don't untap with...
Questing Beast is one of the reasons I'm not super in love with the turn
You
3
don't...
Wrath.
Okay.
But, so even in that scenario, I'm still imagining this is at best a 2-for-1, right? Like, you're not... The point of Wraths is you go, 5-for-1. But if your opponent went, like, Innkeeper, Lovestruck Beast, you're kind of going to have to play this. And then they already drew a card, so that's like an even trade. I do think the second part you mentioned is why this card is really good. Being able to take turn 5 to foretell this and hold up a counterspell, and then turn 6, play this and hold up a counterspell, is pretty huge. Like, the big part of Wraths is you Wrath, but then you're tapped out. They get to turn to use the mana. They play Questing Beast, and you're right back into the thick of things. But if you can play this on turn 6 with counterspell backup, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And with the foretell cards, you could actually do this on turn 5 and still have the foretell counterspell.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have that. The other thing that we didn't really talk about is that it, and a lot of people are explaining this, and it, I think it does have some merit, and I think not specifically with this card. I'm going a little bit off topic now, but having a Wrath as a foretell card means that any foretell card you see, there's a possibility that it could be this card. So that will make other foretell cards possibly go up because you can bluff things like this. But I do like the idea, like a lot of control decks, like your turn 2, what are you doing most of the time? With like, I feel like it would be viable enough to just throw this in foretell and just have it, not even for turn 3. Like if you needed it on turn 3, you could, but it can also just sit there until you want it. So it's not like necessarily you have to play it that next turn. But having it around for the nice conversion of like turns 5 on, you can make sure to Wrath and play something else meaningful.
Yeah. I think people are mostly overrating the possibility of turn 2 foretell, turn 3 this. Because in the situations where that's happening, even when you do this, you still took like 7 damage. They still got to attack you with the early presence
This
they
stuff
developed
before, yeah.
Because you took turn 2 off. So it's almost better to like take turn 2 to kill something, turn 3, counter something, turn 4, Wrath of God. You know what I mean? That almost saves you more.
I can see that.
The other thing I want to say is just contextually, this card isn't great against any of the big players in Standard right now. Obviously, that might change. But it's not that good against Gruul Adventures because they have so much value built into their deck already that Wraths just aren't that good against them. And the best control deck right now is Blue-Black, which obviously wouldn't play this. So, I don't know. Is it worth a slot if none of these decks want it?
Maybe there's a lot of people that don't want to be playing, let's say, white or anything because the Wraths aren't there. If this is a Wrath that people actually want to play, that they can side out all of their, Shatter the Skies and play Doomscar instead. I think people will be trying to put this together, and we can see something. I definitely think it's a piece, and whatever puzzle that's going to be, it's going to be one of the pieces in it for sure.
All right, so we need a verdict then. Doomscar. Worth a slot?
I'm going to slot it right in.
Yep, I think it's worth a slot as well.
It's definitely worth a slot. If later we find out it's not worth a slot, maybe we'll have an updated segment say, hey.
Yeah. We'll just edit this previous episode. And
yeah.
I
do think it's funny.
Worth a slot.
Not worth a slot. I do see a lot of like Commander players talking about Doomscar as if it's like this amazing, much better Wrath of God. I'm like, no, it's just play Wrath of God.
Like in the scenario where you want to turn 3 Wrath, you really can't afford to take turn 2 off. That's kind of my gripe with that setup.
I guess I see that.
Maybe in Commander you have enough life total to play with. But
no, I guess I mean in wanting to turn 3 Wrath, I feel like my turn 2 wasn't doing anything anyway. I was like scrying or something.
Yeah, but if you play like 2 mana instant speed removal, you're in a similar place. Because how much stuff could they have at turn 3?
I guess I'm thinking mainly, I don't know, goblins. I don't really know. Or any just like
you don't want to play this against goblins. Are you crazy? All right,
let's go to yours. Let's talk about you.
My first card. It's a weird one, so bear with me. Tybalt's Trickery. 1 and a red for an instant. It reads, counter target spell. That's right, 1 and a red for an instant counter target spell. Then it says choose 1, 2, or 3 at random. Its controller mills that many cards, then exiles from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card with a different name than that spell. They may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then they put the exiled cards on the bottom of their library in a random order. So effectively what this does is if you've ever seen like Transmogrify, which kills a creature and then you flip creatures from the top of your library until you get a different one, it's just doing that for spells on the stack. It's countering the spell and then you flip new stuff until you get a different spell. The reason that you have this random mill clause of choose 1, 2, or 3 at random and then mill is because otherwise you could put an awesome card on top of your own deck and then counter your own spell to get that awesome card. So this is kind of preventing you from making it that easy to set up your own stuff.
Yeah.
That's all that clause is for. So if you think about it that way, that tells you what the card does. The text is not as... It's like a really verbose way of saying, essentially, it's like polymorph for spells.
Yeah.
So let me tell you why this card is
Okay, yeah, explain to me why.
So there are
why
two ways to play this card. The first way is in some sort of red-white prison-style deck where you make use of these cards that limit your opponent's ability to play spells at certain times. So if you have, for example, Drannith Magistrate, which says your opponent can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hand, then this is just a counterspell, because whatever they reveal off the top will not be in their hand, and then they're not allowed to cast that new card. Then there's also Archon of Emeria, which is another, white aggressive creature that says players can't cast more than one spell per turn. Again, that makes this just a hard 1 in a red counter target spell because, again, they won't be able to cast whatever they revealed because they already cast the first spell that you countered, and they can't cast 2 spells in a turn. So I'm imagining some sort of ridiculous red-white prison-style deck that uses this as literally 1 in a red counter target spell, which you must admit would be a really good card, 1 in a red counter target spell. That's option number 1. If you're boring, because here's option number 2. You play this in Historic. You play 4 Opt. You play 1 of this card, and then you play some number of Ulamog. And the rest of your deck is land. You mulligan until you have Opt and this card. And on turn 3, you cast Opt, you counter it with this. You cannot hit any of the other Opts in your deck because it can't hit the same name. You can't hit the lands, so you get Ulamog on turn 3. Now you have to play enough Ulamog that you don't accidentally mill it with this random mill 1, 2, or 3 cards clause.
So 4? So 4 is
you don't want 4 because you don't want to draw it in your hand.
But then, what if it's the top 3 or
well,
Ulamog.
And you rolled randomly the number 3. I mean, that's just, you're out to lunch.
That would be hilarious.
I would probably play 2 Ulamogs.
Okay.
This game plan will occur. It will work something like 75 to 80% of the time. Now, of course, any sort of interaction messes with it, Spell Pierce kind of ruins your day. Well, Thoughtseize maybe, but maybe you're just trying to draw off the top. Yeah, if they get rid of your Tybalt's Trickery, you're kind of screwed. But
you're pretty screwed.
But hey, you could win on turn 3 by casting an Ulamog. And you do get to cast it, so you exile their 2 lands.
Oh, so they can't Doomscar you.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Ulamog's indestructible, so Doomscar...
That's true. It doesn't matter. Okay.
I must have convinced you with those 2 awesome decks.
I would like to say the first deck, why are you not just playing white-blue if you're trying to counter stuff? You could play a prison deck and actually play just regular counters that don't worry about creatures being on the battlefield on your side. That might give them some free stuff.
I'll tell you why. Because Drannith Magistrate also hoses Doomscar.
And every Foretell card.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice tech. Go get a bunch of those because they might be useful.
Yeah.
And then they might not. And then you'll be mad that you use your wild cards.
No, because you're playing this deck, right? Tier 1.
Yeah. So, yeah. I just think it's a lot of hoops to jump through just to make sure that red has a counterspell when the other cards in your deck don't have to be red, so then you don't need to be playing red at all, and you could just be playing blue, and you could just be countering like just a regular person.
Yeah, but it's not a control deck, right? It's supposed to be like a beatdown deck. You're playing creatures that also kind of inhibit your opponent. You're hoping to win on turn 5, and this kind of puts you over the edge. Like, counter that.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying there are other red cards in this deck that are beatdowns.
Yeah. This is like a cheap
Okay.
white-red creature deck, and then it just gets to play this 1 in a red counter spell.
It just happens to have. It just seems like the. Well, okay, all right. For the thought experiment, I get that. I think it's. I mean, it's pretty good in that situation. If you don't, I mean, it's a dead card in your hand. Basically, if you don't have that, because giving them something for free is pretty bad. And depending on who, like almost who anyone
Hey,
you're playing could
It
be.
could be a bad
horrible.
card that they flip.
That's true. Okay, if you're playing against rogues, there are a lot of situational cards that could be pretty bad. But also they could just flip it into the story, and then you're like, well, actually, you might try to be countering it into the story, but it seems iffy to me. I feel like there's just other things you could do that might be better for that slot, and then you're just going to be holding up this thing that you just won't ever really. I just think it's not going to get there in that deck.
But in a pickle, you could cast your 1-drop and then use this on yourself and just hope.
That's true.
Right.
In a pickle, I
The
do
dream
like that.
is always alive.
So the countering your own stuff and then going, find that I'm a lot more interested in. I have played decks that are similar to that. I was playing the Treasure Hunt deck, where you're basically just playing 4 copies of Treasure Hunt and Thassa's Oracle and everything else is islands. It's kind of fun at first, but then it gets really, really dull.
We're talking about like super competitive tier decks here, Zach. It's all about winning.
Okay, sorry. I don't think anyone brought that Treasure Hunt deck to.
The problem with the Treasure Hunt deck is you take it into the play queues because you don't want to lose rank. And then you only face the mirror match because it matches you up based on rarity count.
And then you're just playing Treasure Hunt against everybody else. It's very true. I think this card, I don't know, it seems fairly iffy to me. Very splashy and cool, but the reason I like the Transmogrify decks better is because there's more solid stuff where you're getting the creature you for sure want, and you can still build that deck with Transmogrify and a bunch of tokens and no other creatures except for Ulamog. So it feels like a stretch to try to build it into that deck.
That deck can't do a turn 3 though.
That's true. It'll be turn 4 instead.
Yeah, if it gets lucky.
Yeah.
What do you think? Worth a slot?
I definitely think it's worth a slot because it's worth a try. I definitely think it's worth a try. I think it's cool enough. I would do it. I would probably even just play it just for fun because I just want to counter shit.
Let's just see what you... Oh, you got an Ugin? Oh.
Yeah.
I guess I shouldn't have brought this in
Sorry.
against my Teamer ramp opponent. Oh, you hit
Yeah.
Genesis Ultimatum? Oh, okay.
Well, if you're countering a Genesis Ultimatum, they can't get another one.
No.
Although that deck is just full of
Could
beers
hit
and
Ugin, though.
just fucking bombs. Yeah, you could just hit. So I do like the idea of maybe having a one of in another deck where they don't see it coming, and that'd be pretty funny.
I love this card. This is like my... it's my modern era MTG Arena version, I guess, of the card they denied me.
Yeah, that
Dubious
shitty card.
challenge. Because it's just like, how could this card ever be good? But you actually have to work really hard to make this card good, and I love that.
Yeah, I also think it's nice that they are bringing some counters back to red because red does have counters, and it has had counters in the past. They're always situational and weird like this, and I think this is a really good design for one.
The only one I can think of is Pyroblast, but
There's one from Invasion Block that basically says you choose a spell, and then you and that player exchange losing life. And so you say, I'll take 5 life. And they're I'll take 7 life. And you keep doing that until someone gives up. And if you don't win, then the spell's countered.
right, so it's counter target spell if you have more life than your opponent.
Essentially, yeah. Or if you're like, 10 and they're like, fuck it, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then you just like let go of it.
That's fun in multiplayer because it's like, are we both gonna torpedo ourselves here?
Are we doing this right now?
Yeah, it's a game
Yeah.
of chicken.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's pretty fun. I like that idea. So this also, it doesn't have the chicken sense to it, but it does have like it's a fucking gamble. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, my favorite part
so yeah.
of Transmogrify is the corner case where you use it on your opponent's unbeatable threat and hope you get something worse.
Please. Yeah. So at least this one has the clause that it can't be the same thing, so that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next one to keep this train rolling. All right. This guy, I don't know what I'm going to say about this guy, but I just picked him and I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
So this is a legendary creature. This is Jorn, God of Winter. 2 and a green for a 3/3 legendary snow creature god. Whenever Jorn attacks, untap each snow permanent you control. And on the flip side, it is Kaldheim the Rime Staff? Rime Staff? That's how you say that, right? 1 blue black for a legendary snow artifact. Tap it. You may play target snow permanent card from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters the battlefield tapped. So most of what I'm talking about is I'm more interested in Jorn himself. 3/3 for 3, great rate. I'm assuming you're just going to play all snow-covered lands. Yeah, I guess all the 3/3s.
You know we have
standard,
Love
just
Struck
3/3
Beast, right?
right? It's a 3/3 for 5.
No, 5/5 for 3.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Other way around. Scratch it, reverse it, flip it. Anyway, but just talking about cards, 3/3 for 3 is just like normal. Okay, that's got it. It's not below rate, it's not above rate, it's on rate. Okay, and it ramps the shit out of you basically. Because it has pseudo vigilance itself. So all your lands are going to be snow in this deck, right? And you attack with it on turn 4, and then you untap all of your lands again. But what I'm most excited about is that not only are you going to have this card, you're also playing green, so you're probably also going to have your Love Struck Beast in your deck, and you're probably playing Great Henge as well. So look at this turn 4. Okay, I'm painting a picture.
I'm looking.
All right. So turn 3, you play Jorn, right? Turn 4, you play your land, and then you get to Heart's Desire into Love Struck Beast. Then you attack with Jorn. He untap your lands, and then second main you can tap out and play your. You can play Great Henge. Boom! Look at that. It all worked out.
Wait, what did Jordan do there? Couldn't I just turn 3 Love Struck Beast, turn 4 Great Henge?
No, because this way it's out of nowhere. They didn't see this one, right? Right? It was just like boom. What? I can't believe that. I did look through the other snow creatures to see if there's any like tappy things that seem interesting in Sultai. There aren't a lot of great tap abilities. There are some looters and things that.
If you're playing this card, you might also have Kaldheim the Rime Staff out, which is not bad to untap.
Exactly. So being able to play snow permanents from your graveyard, especially this one when it dies, but any of the other like snow things, or you can possibly have. Because it says play, you could do some stuff with what's that card from Zendikar Rising that makes you sack a land and like put 2 more into the battlefield?
Oh yeah.
But anyway, if you're sacrificing your lands and they go into your graveyard, you can
roiling.
Yeah, something like that. Roiling.
No, Royal Eruption is the damage spell.
Not Royal Eruption, but it's anyway. It's the green one. But anyway, if you have snow lands in your graveyard, you can play them off of the Rune Staff if you would like. So there's possibly something in there as well. I don't know what it is exactly, but I know that something's going to happen with this, and it's definitely going to get slotted in many decks.
All right.
Because attack triggers are good.
All right,
and
so
not
so you're a big fan
when they
of
trigger on
Boast.
players. No, I mean something when they attack, it triggers, not something that triggers and I can pay for it. And this isn't like Sword of Feast and Famine where you hit somebody and then your land's untapped. This just you attack and they untap.
So I'd like to start off by saying that I hate this card. I don't think there's a universe where this card is just good. It's either like oppressive or bad, and I hate cards like that. Anytime they let you untap all your lands, it's dumb, or it does nothing. But like, I don't know. Haven't we played against Wilderness Reclamation enough to know that untapping all your lands is brutal?
No, but this is only your
it's-
snow lands.
Oh, I see. Because
So-
you might have been an idiot and put non-snow lands in the deck with this, right?
Yeah, I mean, like pathways.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't do the castle thing, I guess, that
Yeah, exactly.
that Wilderness Rec let you do. No, I mean, maybe the fact that it's a 3/3 is enough to make this too bad, and they have to untap with it and attack with it. Like, that's a tall order. But it is very close to 3/3 for 3. If you don't kill me, I'm going to win the game. Because it's just so much extra mana. Like, now you're untapping on turn 4 with 8 mana. And then, like you said, any other possible additional synergies from other snow permanents. Also, isn't this literally just the guy from Game of Thrones? Like, I didn't read those books or watch the show, but isn't like Jorn literally just a character in Game of Thrones, and it's winter there or something? People are complaining about how this is a little too on the nose, like Game of Thrones reference.
Oh, really? I watched the first few seasons of Game of Thrones. I don't remember Jorn.
He's like Jorn Snow because he's a snow creature.
Oh, I have no idea.
Maybe it's Jon Snow.
Oh, you mean Jon Snow?
So this is Jorn Snow.
Oh, he doesn't look anything like Jon Snow, though.
No, but his name is Jorn and he's Snow, so people are like, it's a little too on the nose with Game of Thrones.
I thought people just hated Game of Thrones now, so they're going to stop talking about it and pretend it never existed.
No, people never stop talking about stuff. People still complain about Lost, man.
Well, actually, so random tangent. I'm just going to go on this real quick because you just
Yeah.
brought up Lost.
Mistake,
So-
you're an actor. I should have.
If you're a person who watched Lost while it was on the air, you hate it. Just anyone you talk to, if they were watching it week to week, they hate it. If you talk to a person like me who watched the entire series after it was over and you already knew the ending was going to be garbage, you actually like it quite a bit. It's pretty good. You're
Yeah.
like, that's pretty crazy, but like I kind of was on board for it because after season 3, I was like, this is going to be fucking crazy. And it was pretty crazy. You're like, whatever, that's weird. It's an island. I don't know. There's some stuff in the middle. Maybe they're dead. There's time travel. Who knows? You're
Loved
like,
it.
You're just sitting back eating popcorn and being like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but lost. I'm
Yeah.
lost.
I'm lost. There you go.
I think that's what the whole point of the show was, to actually
Yeah,
make you
it's just
feel lost.
it was just too advanced for people.
Yeah.
Just too over.
And
Yeah, no,
something
I'm on
about-
the same expectation management train.
Exactly. So I totally understand that, and I'm sure if I went and watched all of Game of Thrones right now and watched the ending, I would be like, man, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But if I was anticipating something that was amazing, I'd probably be upset.
Exactly. I only watch stuff when it's been over for years and people have locked in their reviews.
Exactly. That's how I liked music for a long time. Was just like I only like bands that people think are awesome.
Oh yeah, me too, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to be
And
the
now
guy
I'm like-
listening to the 10 shitty records for every one that he finds that doesn't suck.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm a big Taylor Swift fan. I like Taylor Swift. I loved 1989. And then after that, she had a terrible record that was garbage. And I was like, I don't like that one so much. But then she came back. I was like, okay, I like this one now. So
I like
wondering,
folklore actually. Yeah.
Yeah, Folklore's pretty good. Evermore is all right. But I'm much better with now it doesn't define me as much as it used to, when you're younger and,
Yeah,
and your interests and your likes define your entire being. You're like, I am the person that likes this
I'm
thing.
like,
and no
I
one
like
can like it more than me.
Seinfeld and the Beatles. I'm pretty sure I was not the first one to discover these things, but
I think I'm the best though, because you can't talk about how mine is not good. So
Right.
I'm great. And that's kind of what that feeling is. Anyway, going back to Jorn.
oh yeah, fuck this card.
I do like, so actually this is the first time I'm realizing, are all the gods, their god side and their non-god side the same mana, the same CMC?
No.
Okay, well, I like the fact that this one is. You can play either side on turn 3 depending on your color restrictions. So
I think the
that
most
is-
egregious divergence from that is Valky, which is like a 2-drop, and then Tybalt's a 7-drop.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're very right. I actually knew that. I don't know why. Some of the other ones with the equipment I wasn't exactly sure about. But I do like the flexibility of that. So it's either, so like when the card's put together, it's kind of like all Sultai, but it's always going to cost 3. So it's either the green side or like the Dimir side. But if it seems like a bad situation, I don't know why on turn 3 you wouldn't want to play
It
Jordan,
is nice
but
to see them
you
giving
can.
Sultai ramp some love. That's an archetype that's just, needed a lot of help here for a long time. They definitely haven't beaten us to death with these fucking Sultai cards.
It's basically so you can play Uro on turn
Yeah.
4, attack with Jorn, and then escape Uro on the same turn.
When they were developing this, they thought it would be interesting that this deck would have to maybe make a decision whether to play Uro or this card, So like turn 3,
Yeah.
3-drop.
Turn 3 is really, I don't know. You're just going to play both.
It is interesting because you
wait.
see a lot of cards that hate on graveyards here that were clearly designed with the expectation that Uro would be in standard, and so they're like anti-Uro cards.
Exactly. And you're like, oh, too late. A
Yeah.
year is too long.
Yeah, you banned it, so...
In the arena world, I think, and they're starting to see that a little bit. Like we were talking about before, give the pieces to combat earlier and give the problems later, so that you already had the pieces.
And I
you
like
thought
that
were
they did
garbage.
ban it, even though they know stuff's coming out to try to help deal with it.
They're not like, well, this might help. They're like,
Right.
because then it comes out.
Wait a
it
few
doesn't help you,
months,
like,
and maybe we'll help you out.
and really just ruin the whole year. Anyway, let's just go to evaluation because I'm tired
Not
of talking
worth
about
a
this.
slot.
Yeah, after talking about this, I don't really care that much about it. I just want to talk about him.
Screw you, Jorn.
I think there's something. Jorn's got something in there. But it might just be the commander player and me being like, this is fucking
Don't play this
busted.
card because I don't want to play against it.
I will probably just play it
right.
just to see if I can do it.
My next
but let's
card,
move on to the next one.
one I'm very excited about.
All right.
Cardurer's Vicious Return. This is 2 black red for an enchantment saga. So, chapter 1 of the saga. You may sacrifice a creature. When you do, Cardurer's Vicious Return deals 3 damage to any target. Chapter 2, each player discards a card. Chapter 3, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a +1/+1 counter on it. It gains haste until your next turn. Alright, so
Yeah.
this is something that people, our cherished listeners may or may not know, because I don't know if I've ever mentioned it. I legitimately don't know if they know this or not. I love reanimator strategies.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like
think
one of
they
my favorite decks to play, especially when they're not that good. I don't like reanimator strategies when they're good because then they're oppressive. But when they're like, okay, that's the best. When you're building a reanimator deck, you need 3 things. You need something to reanimate. You need a way to reanimate them. So reanimate means like cheating a big creature into play from your graveyard. So you need a way to do that. And then you need a way to get that creature into the graveyard in the first place. What I love about this card is that it's 2 of those things. It lets you discard a card on chapter 2, which is putting something huge into the graveyard, presumably. And then chapter 3 brings it back into play and gives it haste. So you can choose something that really benefits from attacking right away that normally wouldn't get to attack right away.
Like Jorn.
Yeah, you could play Jorn if you're dead inside. Or
In this fucking...
or
Sorry.
let me name some stuff we got for you instead.
Okay, all right.
All right, so first thing my mind went to, and it's not the worst, Massacre Worm.
Oh.
Pretty good, pretty good. You know, it's more interesting, though, to me. Morag, Fury of Akum.
Okay.
Bring this back for free. It gets haste. Play a land. Your opponent's got to be dead. Like, if you had any sort of creature before the Morag almost does it on its own. If you play a Fabled Passage, Morag kills on its own. Because it does 6, 7, 8, which is 21 damage.
That sounds pretty good.
So
I like that.
there's got to be other big 7 and 8 drops that are coming out, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's that demon. What is it?
Yeah.
It's the demon that goes finds other demons. Burning Rune Demon.
Right?
It's that 6/6 flyer.
It's not bad. It goes and gets any 2 cards, or you have to get
two
that have
cards
different
not
names.
named. Yeah, not named Burning.
And then
Ring
your
Demon.
opponent chooses which one you get.
Yeah.
Not bad.
And they
not
go.
bad.
It goes into your hand, but
There's Terror of
definitely
Mount
some stuff.
Velis, which is like a 5/5 flying double strike that gives all your other stuff double strike. You know, there's some fun stuff you could do with this. So what I love about this card is that it solves 2 of the Reanimator problems in one go by letting you discard a card. And then its front face is presumably a removal spell. Well, it's totally fine.
yeah. Even if you're. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong side. Yeah. No. Okay. I see how that could be interesting, but the card's terrible.
And I like that you don't have to spend the mana on the turn you're reanimating the thing.
Yeah.
Which is usually a big problem. You have to like tap out to reanimate something and then pass.
No, I think the first chapter. I mean, 4 mana, sack a creature and deal 3 damage is,
Horrible.
Not super
That
exciting.
would be really bad.
it's really
If that's
bad.
all it did, that would be horrible. No,
But-
we're in this for chapter 3, baby.
I see chapter 3. I see how 2 goes into chapter 3, or even 1 at the very least, if you don't have anything in your hand. That also makes sense. No, I'm having a hard time. I think this seems pretty sweet. I can't even.
I knew
have
you would
no,
love
like-
it. I think
It's
I knew
too
you would
hard.
Be like, I don't
no.
know. Should I say this is bad? Because I think it's bad. But I knew you would
Yeah,
just
I don't-
love the
Yeah,
concept.
no, it's too hard. I do love the. I mean, in M21 draft, I loved what is it? Playing the big whale into my graveyard on turn 2, and
Yeah.
then on turn 5,
Which
returning
is
it.
still
So-
an option here. You could play Grixis.
Yeah, you could play Grixis, you could throw that in there, but the fact that it lets you do, it's just like an all-in package right here, is so strong. Like, all you need is a creature. It has the other 2 pieces, so yeah, you just gotta.
I will
sure you
definitely
have
be
it, but-
playing this with Morog. And when I pull that off, I'm going to be very happy.
Yeah, this seems sweet, and I like the haste too. Yeah, it's just good. It's too hard for me to say that I don't like it because I really like
Worth
it.
a slot?
I don't even think I read it before, and I'm just the first time. Damn, this is like pretty dope. Yeah, no, I think it's definitely worth a slot.
Yes,
Slot it
worth
in.
a slot.
As we're getting to our last 2 picks, I am really realizing that we're going a little long, and my beer is a little low.
Yeah.
Do you think we should take a break and just come back and talk about these cards and then
Yeah, I'm on
rate
board
them
with that.
afterwards?
You know,
Yeah, let's
we're
do
no
that,
stranger
okay.
to long episodes. So.
We definitely are not. All right, it's a beer break.
So, what's your last card, Zach?
All right, here we go. I am talking about Mystic Reflection. It's 1 and a blue for an instant. Choose target non-legendary creature. The next time 1 or more creatures or planeswalkers enter the battlefield this turn, they enter as copies of the chosen creature. And it has foretell for just a single blue mana. Okay.
Tell me what
So-
you're going to do with this.
So basically, what I want to do with this is just fuck up anything my opponent is trying to do.
Okay.
I'm not as interested in making my own stuff into things that I have, obviously, because that just doesn't. There's probably a deck for that, but what I'm actually looking at is I want to play this card, Mystic Reflection, into my opponent's collected company. Right? If I foretell this early,
Yeah.
anytime I just hold a blue for the rest of the game, and anytime something I don't like is on the stack, I can just pay the blue and turn it into the worst thing on the board. But it just seems so much fun to have someone play Collected Company and just make sure whatever comes off of it turns into the worst thing probably on my board. So I'm making sure I have 1/1 bullshit tokens. Maybe I'm playing like, what's that card? Heliod's something. The flash enchantment that gives you 2 soldiers and gains you 2 life. Omen. A Omen of the Sun. That's what
yeah.
it is.
No, sun.
Omen of the
Sun.
Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, Omen of the Sun. So you play that, or anything that just has like bullshit creatures, so you can turn their shit into bullshit. That sounds great. This goes against anyone who's trying to play Ugin. They put Ugin on the stack. Boom! It's a 1/1. You know, like That sounds so good. Any of that bullshit, the Tibble's trickery stuff, boom.
Okay, but why would this be better than a counterspell?
So,
Because a counterspell means they get nothing. They don't get a 1/1.
this is true. But this costs 1 blue, okay?
Well, it costs
And it's
2
1 blue you can
and
keep
1
up.
blue.
Well, 1 blue when you play it. You can hold up 1 blue for so long.
Yeah, it's 2 and a blue split over 2 different turns.
Yes. And the turn you're going to foretell it, that's totally fine. I just think it's going to be
It's more fun.
so
I'll give
much
you
fun.
that.
It's super
But
fun.
isn't this like awfully close to a worse essence scatter that requires like setup and then?
Okay, all right. Let's
I guess it hits planeswalkers. It hits planeswalkers.
it hits planeswalkers. I guess you know what? You can also upgrade your shit if you want to.
I love the idea
can
of
talk about
turning
that
their
side.
planeswalker into a creature.
I think the planeswalker thing into the creature is great.
I wonder if
Especially,
you can
like,
play a creature that's actively bad to have that you could give them. You know, that would make this better than a counterspell. Like something that just
What are you-
taxes your own mana or something. Like
or what's that? No, I guess that black 6/6 is really good though. I like it.
Wizards just doesn't
The-
print creatures that are bad for you to have now.
I mean, you could play.
Were you thinking Clackbridge Troll?
I mean, you could play that. No, I was kind of thinking from this set. What is that card? It's the it's the god. It's like 2 and 2 black
Egon,
for the 6/6.
God of the Dead.
Yes, that one.
If they don't have creatures in their graveyard to,
Exactly. So then they lose it
because
but it also
generally
seems
giving
pretty
them a
dope.
6/6 death touch doesn't sound awesome, but
It's probably terrible. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking rotting Regisaur. At
that
first.
makes them discard.
Yeah, but then I realized that you can't have that one right now. So
Still pretty huge too. Like,
it's still pretty because the only cards that do bad stuff are really huge.
yeah, they have drawbacks for a reason, right? There are no,
it's
there are
not-
no like O1s with a serious drawback.
It's just a goat that like eats your lands. Just like an 0-1 for 1 that makes you sacrifice a land each turn. If we had something like that, then this card would be great.
See, I think to
But
play
then
this card, you have to be interested in both halves. You have to be interested in downgrading your opponent's stuff and also the possibility of upgrading your own
Of
stuff.
upgrading your own stuff. So no legendary creatures in your deck,
Right.
and just playing like the best card or best creatures that are not legendary, basically.
Oh, that's right. You can't choose Egon, because the Lord God of the Dead.
Oh, that's
It's
true,
legendary.
right? Because it's a god. Yeah. So that even stops.
Our listeners were
even
yelling
stops
at us for being idiots, but we got there.
Yeah, we got there. Eventually, we got there. So
Our bad plan, luckily, is impossible.
so there you go. Is that new Kraken? Could you play that one?
I don't think that one's legendary.
That one's not legendary, I don't think. Icebreaker Kraken?
But why would you want to give
There
them
you go.
that?
No, you give yourself another Icebreaker
Yeah,
Kraken.
yeah.
So you tap down their stuff, and then on the next turn, you play a 1/1, turn it into an Icebreaker Kraken, or whatever card you have. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
That
I
sounds
think
pretty
you
good.
like you play Morog, right?
Okay.
Then you
play
play- Oh wait, is that legendary? Fuck, it's legendary.
Yeah, that's legendary.
You play
Every
something
good
that like
creature-
stacks really well, and then you play this, and then you just unload token makers, and you just get like 8 copies of this thing that stacks.
So you add blue to mono green food. You play Troll Kings. Boom.
Mono green food already gets just 4 Troll Kings out of nowhere. You know,
Yeah,
they don't
so
need
it
8
doesn't
Troll
really matter.
Kings.
They could though. They play a Gilded Goose. Boom, Troll King.
It's funny that you say add blue to mono green food because the deck used to be blue green. Then they banned Oko, and then it's like, well, let's just play mono
And
green.
like, whoa. That's funny. That was before my time. I do not know of the Oko times.
Oh yeah, you haven't
he
played
sounds-
against Oko? Yeah, it's not fun.
He seems fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I give it a try.
No, I have one. I know how busted they are.
All right, worth a slot, Mystic Reflection. I gotta say
This is
no.
hard.
I gotta say no.
So it is hard because I did make this segment sound like worth a shot, and it's definitely worth a shot.
Is it though? It's so bad.
It's worth it. I think it's worth a shot. It seems pretty fun.
I feel like it's a lot of setup for a pretty mediocre payoff. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. Okay. It is fun. So
This is
we'll
now
see. I
the
don't
rare
know.
that's going to somehow become the busted rare of the set. I'm going to lose to it, and in 3 weeks you'll hear me complaining about how they print such an obviously powerful card.
Yeah.
I'm going to
You're
say
like, well,
this card is bad.
it was not worth it. Yeah, I still think I'll probably try to do something with it, but I don't have super high hopes. But I do love the idea of just turning an Ugin into a 1/1.
So I love that you took a bit of a flyer on it, and were like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this card, but I know I'm going to try to do something.
It's going to be something. You know, I was just ramping up from Doomscar, right?
Yeah.
Doomscar, for sure. I don't know,
Ramping
but we'll
down.
try.
Yeah. Well, I love that was
well-
your take, because it's like the perfect segue for my next card, which is also
right.
something that I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I know I'll do something. So
Yeah.
this
Okay,
this
let's
is
hear
like
it.
the first card previewed or something. It's been in the noodle for a while, but we couldn't really
Yeah.
figure out how good it is until we see more of the set. So this is Pyre of Heroes. It's an artifact for 2 mana. It has 2 and tap and sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a creature card that shares a creature type with the sacrificed creature and has converted mana cost equal to 1 plus that creature's converted mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. And the safety text, activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery.
Just to
Wah,
make
wah
sure it's
on
not
that last
super broken.
Wah, wah on that last one. But yeah, cards like this have historically seen play. The obviously most famous example is Birthing Pod. I don't know if you've ever played against Birthing Pod, but this is basically Birthing Pod, but we've added, we've made it cost what it's supposed to cost because there's no stupid Phyrexian mana here. But also we've added a lot of extra riders here. Namely, it has to share a creature type with whatever you sacrifice, which was not a condition on Birthing Pod. And the idea is you kind of go up the ladder on this. You sack a 2-drop to get a 3-drop, sack that 3-drop to get a 4-drop, sack that 4-drop to get a 5-drop. And each creature that you're getting at that curve comes in and does something awesome when it enters the battlefield, and then you're happy to exchange it for something new.
Yeah. And namely, with Birthing Pod stuff, it's something that untaps the Birthing Pod so you get to do it again.
Well, that's the thing. That's like the combo way to do it, right? But
Yes.
there's actually...
But that's usually what they're worried about, right?
Yeah.
And with the creature type clause, it stops that stuff from happening because all those cards are not the same creature type.
Yeah. But originally the Birthing Pod decks were just kind of value oriented, where it's like, yeah, we might have some combos in here, but mostly these creatures are just awesome enters the battlefield creatures. And it's really good to just cycle into them every turn. This is obviously a bit worse because it has a higher deck building cost. You have to make sure that you have creature types. But I really think the fact that we have enough shapeshifters in this deck, in this set, will let you put something together. Because you can chain something of one creature type into a shapeshifter into a different creature type.
I mean, that's cool.
Because changeling is what I mean. But
Yeah, Changeling can do that. I wonder, I do like the idea, we were talking about, sorry, this is me just talking about cool cards again. What am I doing? Go ahead. Yeah, sorry. Go back to you.
So I don't know. I was trying to build a chain earlier because we do have, as you mentioned, we do have Corridor Monitor in Standard, which untaps an artifact when it enters the battlefield. And then there's like cards that, there's a new card in this set, 6-drop. It brings back a 2-drop from your graveyard for free. So it brings back the Corridor Monitor you sacrificed when you get all the way up to 6. The problem is there's no like game-winning 7 to get to. Again, I kind of want to just ramp up into Morog. I feel like just cheating out Morog is sick. But I actually think just as a value engine in like an Elves deck or in a Giants deck, this isn't necessarily the worst. As long as you have reasons to want to sacrifice your own permanents. Like this, to me, this kind of goes in a sacrifice deck I really wish it wasn't activate as a sorcery. Like, it could have been activate on your turn and did a similar thing to what they want. But that way you could do something dumb like play Croxa and then with the trigger on the stack, sack it to go get a 3-drop. Which I don't think is so busted that needed to be prevented. It would just actually give the card some play. Because you still have to go get, a giant? A 3-mana giant? You're probably getting Bone Crusher Giant? Like, is that so busted? Anyways, yeah, I think this card's really sweet, and I think someone will come up with something to do with this card. I was trying to think of some chain that just combos the game out, and there's enough there that there's something to work with, like Corridor Monitor, and then get Corridor Monitor back, and then bring a Shapeshifter in, the one that copies some of their creature, the 5-drop that copies something. Like, you could amass something here, but I think there's going to be like 10 bad Pyre of Heroes decks for every one good Pyre of Heroes deck, but totally. I think someone will get there with this card.
Yeah, I think it is interesting. I don't think it's going to be strong. It seems fun. The Giants thing seems... I don't know if it fits in the deck, but I do like the idea of having like the Golgari elves, and then you go find an elf, and then you go find a warrior after the elf, and then because there's a lot of elf warriors and things like that.
Right, that's the idea of this card. Is there's a lot of overlap in berserkers. Like there's angel berserkers and elf berserkers
and zombie berserkers.
Berserkers.
So that seems pretty interesting to me. I do like that idea of like, oh, I have to go in this kind of order, and you can have multiple Pyre of Heroes that are doing different things or whatever. But ultimately, it's. It seems...
I love that most of what's going on with this card happens while you're building your deck, and I think Wizards should print more cards like that. Like, you're really, I could chain this Berserker into this one, and then that Angel into that one, and then that into this, and that's really cool.
Okay. Yeah, I get that idea.
And then I just need a changeling at this part of the curve to really smooth everything out.
Yeah, so like I hope I can find one that's like a 4-drop that's really. Yeah, I see that. It seems okay. Yeah. For the most part, these kinds of things, like, it has a ton of text for me, and the deck building part of it, like the gameplay part seems less exciting because I already kind of know what I'm supposed to do, and if I can't get there, I just don't.
But it's fun to execute on the plan you came up with during deck building. That's like where the fun of these types of cards comes in.
Yeah, I guess I just mean like I know that if it's consistent enough, it will lose its.
Oh, I agree. This is one of those cards that if it's in a tier 1 deck, that sucks because people just net deck that. Someone has figured it out, and then they.
Yeah.
They
just like playing it seems less exciting because you're like, okay, well, if I get that, and then I do this, and it's just like you're speed running the game.
This is what Commander's all about, man. You come up with a plan in deck building, and then it's just exciting to execute it.
Not if you are playing my decks.
Your deck's all about trading life totals with your opponent to counter their spell.
No, my decks are just about one-shotting one player and then losing to the other two. Is usually what it might.
It's called making friends, right?
yeah, basically.
Or
that's all you have to do.
Friends. Right.
No. This is what you do. So if you go to a commander night and you want to be the competitive one that really one shots one person, all you have to do is bring extra beers for them. So when you kill them, you can give them a beer and be like, "Hey, bud, drink this while you're waiting," and then they're totally fine. Like they're like, "Okay."
They go from "Wow, I hate this fucking Zach guy." "Oh man, Zach's so nice. Give me a beer."
He gives me beer. Maybe bring a bottle of whiskey. Give him some whiskey while they get him liquored up. Next game, kill him again. Give him more beer.
Go for the same guy. Sorry, I just enjoy your company, and I know I'm going to be.
It's just fun. Hey, do you want to? You can look at my hand, like, and you get to kind of play together.
You want to go play Mortal Kombat while they're finishing this game?
Yeah, they're kind of like I know what my turn's going to be for the next 4 turns. I'm just going to play lands and do nothing. So we could just play Mortal Kombat. That sounds great to me. I love that. But no, Pyre of Heroes. It looks like other cards that we've seen. It does seem interesting. You could try to put something together, but I probably won't slot it in anything. It's not something I'm not gonna slot it.
So you're saying worth a slot? It is not.
It is not worth the slot.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's going to be that good either. But I like this kind of card, so I wanted to talk about it. I like that.
Oh, for sure.
The interesting part of this card happens during deck building, and I know like we actually espouse net decking here a little bit, but I also don't want to make people shy away from building their own decks.
No, building your decks is great. I'm not super great at it, and I like playing decks that I know all the mana and stuff is worked out. So
Depends what your goal is, right? If you want to get better as a player, then net decking is great because you know it's not the deck's fault; it's your fault that you're losing.
Exactly. And that's kind of where I am in my stage of Magic. I don't want to try to be like, well, I think this deck can get there if I keep working on it. No, the deck will never get there if you keep working on it.
Yeah.
Play a different deck, and then you have to learn other skills or problems with your
On the
game.
other hand, if you want to get better as a deck builder, you need to build your own decks. Net decking still helps because it shows you what like a well-built deck looks like. And there's a lot to learn. We'll talk about it sometime, I think.
Probably this next season we'll do that.
Yeah, it's really nice to like try to build an archetype without looking at anything, see what you come up with, and then consult what has become the standard deck list for that, and see where you went wrong. It's a big way to learn how to build decks better. But yeah, all right, Pyre of Heroes. I guess not worth a slot.
Damn. Looking back at it, but let's run through it again. So, Doomscar, worth a slot.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Let's just do mine. Jorn, not worth a slot.
Yeah. Well, that was mostly out of my hatred for the card, but
Yeah. I think I might try it, but it's I don't know.
it's 50-50
Mystic
between
Reflection?
busted and junk. So
Yeah. Mystic Reflection, not really worth a slot, but seems fun.
not worth a slot.
And then Jeff, talk about yours.
Tybalt's Trickery. I mean, obviously worth a slot. This card's broken. It's probably the best card ever printed. No, it's worth a slot if you want to have some fun.
Yeah.
Cardur's Vicious Return. Again, I don't really know where we landed on this one.
This was worth a slot.
I think it's worth a slot
up.
because we both just like Reanimator, and this does Reanimator.
It's definitely worth a slot.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely worth a slot.
Yeah.
Come on, let's just be strong.
Definitely worth a slot. Is this going to be in a tier 1 deck? I don't know. But and Pyre of Heroes, not worth a slot.
Not worth a slot.
Just too hard. Like the amount, I guess we decided the amount of fun you'll get out of this card, not worth the amount of time you'll have to put into building with it. If you really just love that deck building portion, then yeah, take a crack at Pyre of Heroes. But be prepared to be wrong dozens of times before you get it right.
Oh, we picked the same one.
I like how mine looks like it's a different color than yours in the camera.
Yeah, it does. Anyway, sorry, we both picked Jacobson, the Nordic Lager from Jacobson and Henderson Brewing Company.
Yeah.
Jeff, you did it again. Good job. You brought the best.
Wait, didn't you get me last week?
No, I'm pretty sure I picked your.
The week before we both picked yours.
The week before,
Yeah.
So that's what I was
nice.
saying.
We're getting
2
a
weeks
lot
in a row.
of winners these days, as opposed to
Yes,
just split
and
decisions.
Picking our own, being like, "Fuck you."
All right. Well,
no, I.
yeah.
Well,
Let's start. Let's start with the Nordic Lager, then the winner.
Let's talk about the winner.
Tell me why you
just
picked
getting
it.
derailed. Okay, I picked it. Let me take a sip again so I remember why I picked it. Oh yeah, it's delicious. No, this is really good. I think this combo went over really well. Whatever, what the Angelica root or whatever it was.
I was
Great.
I was wondering if you were gonna say you could pick out the Angelica root. Come on.
I probably. You didn't have to say it. I just knew
I
it was
already
Angelica
knew.
root.
Yeah.
No, I just think it's a really interesting lager. It's different than other things. The color is really nice. It has a very
It's a beautiful color. Yeah. It
it's
almost looks
really
like an
beautiful.
ale.
Yeah, it looks like it's just It's good. I'll probably pick up more of this. I've never tried it before, and it was quite nice. It's
Yeah.
just really refreshing. And at the end of all this, just having something refreshing seems really good. So, yeah, just seems like the right choice.
Yeah, so like my decision was a bit interesting because one of the things I just noticed from doing this with you, and I know our show's not about beer reviewing, but I noticed in myself that I tended to lean towards styles that I preferred rather than trying to choose the beer that I thought was a better representation of that style. So I've tried to make like a conscious effort to move more towards, let's just pick whichever beer is actually better than just, giving the brewery props for making the style that I like. So while I really like porters and I'm not a big lager guy, I had to kind of, this is my first step in that direction where when I drank the lager, I was like, oh, this is really good. And I don't mean really good for a lager, like I just enjoy this beer. And there was nothing totally wrong with the Hanlon's Point. I guess we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I just thought this beer was a better representation of its style. Just was a better lager than the other one was a porter.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with what you were saying right there. And yeah, a lot of it is like, will I pick this up again? Will I think about this again? Do I want to have it? And for sure, I could definitely see myself. Oh, wait! I know a good lager. Let's go grab this one. Actually,
exactly. Yeah, it might be my go-to lager from now on because usually I don't buy lagers. But
yeah,
it has that crispness that lagers have for sure. Yeah. But it also has a lot of flavor and
it has like a depth, really nice,
yeah.
And still refreshing. Yeah, this is great. I'm probably gonna say diamond on this guy.
Yeah, I was thinking diamond for this as well.
Yeah, it's
whereas normally it's hard for lagers to crack a platinum for me. So
yeah, exactly. And I drink a good amount of lagers. I do love myself like a macro Moosehead or anything. There are times when I just want something to crisp.
Yeah, but I guess that's what I've associated lagers with. It's like macro
for sure.
brewed stuff.
And I feel like anybody else who tries to do it fancies it up too much.
Right.
I think they did a good job of making it hit the marks of this is a lager. It's still crisp and refreshing, but also has a depth. Yeah. But not too much where it's like, well, I don't want to have a bunch of these. Like so I could drink.
To summarize, we really loved the Angelica root. That's really front
the
on the palate, and
it really makes it for me.
Yeah, it makes it clear why Vikings used to use it as currency.
Yeah, Angelica root actually was. It's like one of the gin botanicals that we would talk about a lot when I worked at a gin spot. So I'm actually familiar with Angelica root.
You actually might have done that.
I've definitely tasted Angelica root as a distillate, just a single. Like a gin only Angelica root kind of thing.
But like last week or the week before, or 2 weeks ago, I brought the gin IPA, right? And I didn't get any of this,
No, it didn't taste like anything. It was just like, oh, cool. It's a tasty IPA.
This is closer to like a gin lager than that was to a gin.
Oh, for sure. Yes, we could definitely say that. This is a gin lager. But let's go over to the Hanlon's Point from, what is it, Great Lakes Brewery.
Yeah.
You start off. I brought that one, but you say what you think.
Yeah, so this is a coconut coffee porter, right? For me, it was like really heavy on coconut. That was almost all I tasted. Which, I don't know, it's either a good thing or a bad thing if that's what you want. It wasn't really what I wanted. For me, porters, like, I was thinking coffee would be hopefully a little dominant and coconut would be like, like somebody put coconut milk into my latte. So that's kind of what I was expecting when I read it. I guess they led with coconut in the coconut coffee porter description for a reason, because it's like, first of all, coconut, then coffee, and then you're like, oh yeah, this is a porter.
Yeah.
That being said, it's not like it tasted bad.
No.
That's just not what I wanted in it. I think it's just totally fine. What did you think?
I think it's all right. No, I agree. I think it's all right. I would totally drink it again. I mean, that's hard to say because I'll drink most everything again, but
yeah, exactly.
It's okay. Like I'm not gonna tell anybody
Except
to
the
drink
peanut
it.
butter milkshake IPA, right?
That's fucking garbage, whatever that is. Sorry, peanut,
Yeah,
it's
we
peanut
won't
butter.
name any breweries here.
Yeah, you guys don't actually know about it, but I was talking to Jeff about this fucking garbage peanut butter milkshake thing that I had. It was, I had to dump it
If
out.
you somehow beat me, that's in your weird 2-4, buddy, for sure.
It's for sure going in there because you are drinking all these garbage beers I hate. Yeah, so this one's definitely not that. This is definitely tasty. It's good, you know. It's a beer, but I'm going gold. Like it
I
is
was
not
literally
something-
about to say gold. I was hoping you weren't going to say platinum because I was ready to rebuff you with gold. But
No. I don't think I really like it that much. It's not worth being too excited about.
So I think it's
Like, I'll
interesting
sing-
because the decision today for me was like a good porter or a great lager. And because porter is one of my favorite styles and lager was one of my less favorite styles, I think it made it closer than it should be. But obviously, in the end, I had to choose the great
Yeah.
lager.
I really think the lager was just like just leaps and bounds better, and the porter was fine. But like there are some really good porters out there, and this is not one of them. And I can tell because it's one of my favorites as well. So
Right. Or at least it's
I don't
not
know
for us. It's not our style of porter that we're looking for, you know?
yeah, I mean, it's all right. It's worth a try. That's
Yep.
that's what I gotta say. Make your own.
If you like coconut, you'll
ideas.
probably like this a lot.
And I do like coconuts, and it's okay. But with that, I think we are wrapping up this episode of Arena Regulars podcast. You can always reach us on you can always reach us on Twitter and Instagram at Arena Regulars.
Yeah. You can also find us on MTG Arena. Our username is Arena Regulars Podcast. Give us a cool sticker, you know, if you play.
Yeah,
this.
maybe some of these. I really hope we get some new stickers. Actually, I want to talk about this. We'll talk about it another time. Actually,
Not
I
next
want
time.
some time when we know more about them. Possibly, maybe. I don't know. But we would love if you would review us on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher, any place you can review us or follow us. Just please give us a like or a share or anything you can. You know, just talk to us.
It would really help us out. Yeah.
We're also regular dudes, so
Yeah.
we just want to like chill with people. But we have something exciting. Next week is going to be our first. I'm just going to announce it. I'm going to say we're doing this right now. It's going to be our
Commits us
first
to it.
Drunken Vorthos episode,
Yeah.
where we will explain some magic lore to you while fairly drunk. So
We're going to get you prepped
that-
for Kaldheim.
exactly, and the pre-release coming up next week. So be ready for that next Thursday. But Jeff, with that, I think that's a night.
Yeah.
That's our last call.
Yeah. Last call. Good night.
Good night. All right, that's fine.